You ever look at a bird flying through the sky or a lion just lying in the sun and think, damn, they've got it figured out, no bills, no 9 to 5, no endless notifications, just survival, instinct, and the raw freedom of being alive. But here's the question that's been haunting philosophers for centuries. Are animals actually more free than us? Or are we just romanticizing a life we don't actually understand? Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the 18th century philosopher, had a provocative take on this. He famously said, "Man is born free and everywhere he is in chains." But here's the twist Rousseau noticed. Humans are unique because we can resist our own nature. We feel the impulse of hunger, of anger, of fear, but we can choose to go against it. Animals. They are ingenious machines driven by nature alone. Rousseau believed that in the state of nature, humans were truly free. No society, no obligations, no one telling you what to do. Then civilization happened. Suddenly, we're all trapped in a cage of our own making. But is that really freedom? Or just a comfortable prison we've decorated with couches and smartphones? Let's rewind. Before we had jobs, mortgages, and social obligations, Rousseau argues humans lived like animals. Not in a violent Hobbesian nightmare, but in a simple existence where you followed your own will. You ate when hungry. You rested when tired. You answered to nobody. That's natural liberty. You're simple, unfiltered. And then we invented society. And everything went sideways. Now let's take a sharp left turn. Because here's where things get really weird. The Argentine writer Jorge Luis Borges had this mind-bending thought. He said that in a way, animals are immortal. Not because they live forever, but because they don't know they're going to die. Think about that. A deer in the forest has no concept of mortality. It doesn't lie awake at 3 in the morning wondering what happens after it stops breathing. It doesn't calculate how many years it has left. It lives in what Borges called the vivid now. Humans, we carry the weight of our own death with us everywhere. Every birthday is a reminder. Every gray hair is a countdown. And this is where the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard comes in. He called this existential dread, the anxiety of being a self-aware creature who knows they're going to die. But here's the counterpunch. Is ignorance actually freedom? Or is it just unconsciousness? Animals don't worry about their deaths, but they also don't plan for the future. They don't write symphonies. They don't fall in love in that deep, complicated human way. They don't stare at the stars and wonder what they are. Freedom from fear comes at a cost. And the cost is everything that makes life meaningful. So we're back to the same question. Which side do you want? Peace of mind? Or a life that matters? Alright, let's complicate things even more. Because here's the thing about animal freedom. Is it actually freedom? Or is it just a really long leash? Think about it like this. A wolf can run wherever it wants, but it can't choose to be a vegetarian. A lion can hunt whatever it wants, but it can't decide to become a pacifist. They're bound by their biology in ways we're not. And this is where humans get weird and interesting. We can resist our own nature. We can choose to go against our programming. You feel hungry. You can choose to fast. You feel angry. You can choose to walk away. You feel the urge to reproduce. You can choose not to. Animals don't have that option. They're running on pre-installed software. They can't update their operating system. But here's the flip side that makes this even more complicated. The freedom to choose comes with something else. The freedom to choose wrong. The freedom to mess up your entire life. The freedom to make decisions you'll regret forever. Animals don't have regret. They don't lie awake thinking about that one time they did something embarrassing. They don't wonder what their life could have been. So which is better, the freedom to choose with all its terrifying responsibility, or the freedom from choice with all its beautiful simplicity? Now let's bring in some science because philosophy can only take us so far. Robert Sapolsky, one of the world's leading neuroscientists, spent decades studying baboons. And what he found is honestly kind of terrifying. Baboons have stress. They have social hierarchies. They have anxiety. The alpha male, sure, he gets the best food and the most mates, but he also has the highest stress levels. He's constantly fighting to stay on top. He's always looking over his shoulder. Lower-ranking males. They have chronic stress too, but a different kind. The stress of being at the bottom, of being pushed around, of having no control. Sound familiar? And here's where it gets even darker. Humans have taken animal freedom away in ways that are honestly unforgivable. Zoos. Factory farms. Laboratories. We've taken creatures that were born to roam and locked them in tiny cages. We've taken animals that were born to fly and clipped their wings. We've taken animals that were born to run and chained them to stalls. There's a term for what happens to animals in captivity. Zoochosis. It's when an animal starts exhibiting bizarre, repetitive behaviors. Pacing back and forth, swaying. Self-mutilation. They're not free anymore. They're not even instinct-driven anymore. They're just broken. So maybe the question isn't, do animals live more freely than humans? The question is, what have we done to them? So after all of this, where do we land? Is animal freedom real freedom? Or is it just a different kind of cage? Here's what I think. Animals have freedom from existential dread, freedom from social obligations, freedom from the crushing weight of choice. They live in what Borges called the vivid now, completely present, completely unaware of what they're missing. But humans have freedom too. Freedom to choose, freedom to create, Freedom to resist our own nature. Freedom to look at the stars and wonder. Freedom to write poetry, build cities, fall in love, and question the meaning of everything. The problem is we've built a cage around ourselves, and we've dragged animals into it with us. We've taken their natural freedom and replaced it with our version of captivity: zoos, factory farms, circuses, laboratories. We've created a world where animals are no longer free from anything. You're just trapped. But here's the thing. We're the only creatures who can recognize this. We're the only creatures who can choose to change it. We're the only creatures who can look at the world we've built and say, this isn't right. That's the paradox of human freedom. We're trapped in a cage of our own making. But we're the only ones who can see the bars. And we're the only ones who can choose to break them down. For ourselves. And for them. So are animals more free than us? In some ways, yes. In others, absolutely not. The real question is, what do we do with the freedom we have?